You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the September 11th, 2023 meeting of the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission regular meeting. Today is Monday, September 11th, 2023. And we'll go ahead and start off with the roll call. Mr. Barron.
Here.
Ms. Dennis.
Here.
Mr. Warner.
Present.
Mr. Gertner is here. And I've got Mr. York.
Present.
Attorney Cernick.
Present.
And we have Mr. Domkowski and Ms. Nelson Deitch absent for the record. All right. That said, we'll go ahead and move forward. We've got the minutes from the 8:14 executive session, also the 8:14 hybrid regular meeting, and the 9/7 special meeting. I'd like to entertain a motion. Ms. Dennis, can I get a second?
I move to approve the minutes from these three meetings.
You get this.
Second.
All right. We'll go ahead and approve the minutes. Mr. Barrett,
Aye.
Ms. Dennis,
Aye.
Mr. Warner,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Motion carries. Up next, we've got the claims for September 11th. Skylar.
This is your claims for September 11th, 2023. For August of 2023, we had payroll for CDBG reimbursables, staff, and commissioners. From our operating account, we had Office Depot for office supplies, Saranac Law Offices for legal retainer for August of 2023. From the North TIF, we had August MAC 2023 activities for TC Properties and Begley Concord. August MAC for 2023 activities, TC Properties, Begley and Concord. TC is Trail Creek, just for everybody's knowledge. Barnes and Thornburg for Bloxham arbitration ending in July 31st of 2023. Butler, Fairman, and Seifert, Washington Park Boulevard Streetscape Project. DBT Holdings payment 2 for the equipment for Burnham Brewery. That was part of our agreement with them. Haas and Associates for the Lafayette Haas and Associates for the Lafayette Barker Storm Sewer Modification. Haas and Associates for Lafayette Barker Storm Sewer Modification. Haas and Associates for Civil Engineering Services through 8/2023. HDR Engineering for Station Block TOD Modification. NIPSCO for electric service for EV stations as of 8/8/23. Primera on-call engineering for 6/1/23 to 6/30/23. Redwood Landscape maintenance for North TIF for June, July, August of 2023. Saranac Law Offices for legal services in the North TIF for August of 2023. Woodruff & Son for Elstone Legacy Apartments, pay request number 7. Woodruff & Sons for Elstone Legacy Apartments, extra change order number 7. South TIF for DLZ, South TIF Connectivity Improvement Project. Haas and Associates for South TIF Connectivity Improvement Project. Haas and Associates for South TIF Connectivity Improvement Project. And Redwood Landscaping for landscape maintenance for South TIF June, July, August of 2023. Saranac Law Offices for legal services in the South TIF of August 2023. I would just like to say that the landscape for the Redwood, the reason why you're seeing June, July, August, is there was just we had to clarify. We had to go back and clarify what they were providing invoices in a strange same invoices. They just weren't identified correctly. So we had to make sure that we were associating them with what we actually put out there. So that's why you saw the three together.
Move we approve the claims dated September 11th.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
I can just make a comment. But for sure, Ken, you'd ask this. Why are we paying Woodruff and Sons for roughly $170,000 for work that they had previously done on what was then called the Elston Legacy Apartments? One is for retainage. This is for the storm trap that we put down there that we spent better part of $1 or $2 million, something like that.
Storm trap was about $600,000 that was put in for at the time for this apartment complex that was
going to be called Elston Legacy.
Legacy.
And that the developer was not able to get his funding together. But meanwhile, Woodruff and Sons had already done the work on that. So I'm guessing one of them is for the 10% retainage that was done, which I believe was the 83,000 figure, and then the 88,000 were changes that were made. The reason why this was left open, I did talk to Mr. Woodruff about this at length, and then I also talked with Gerald Wright, formerly from John Doyle and Associates. At the request of Schuyler's predecessor, and as at the request of Mayor Perry's predecessor, this project was left open. Their claims was left open. I didn't know that, but was left open indefinitely. And once John Doyle passed away, suddenly it was realized, at least from Woodruff and Sons, that this project was not going to get going. So that's why they're submitting a claim this month. Actually, it took us several months before we could get it ironed out, but that's why they're submitting a claim at this time for something that was completed 2019, maybe 2020, something like it was before COVID.
Yeah, it was probably more like 2017, 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
That's why it's been so long, and that's where we are. But now we paid all obligations for that. Again, we still have valuable infrastructure in the ground for that development. Once we start moving that direction, that certainly will help us in our request for any kind of development on that project.
And to Mr. Woodruff's, it seems a little dated, but he was working with John Doyle prior to Mr. Doyle's untimely death. So he was trying to rectify this. He just didn't make it in time for that.
So we've got a first and a second. Without any additional discussion, we'll go ahead and put that to a vote here. Mr. Barrett?
Aye.
Ms. Dennis?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
And looks like we have Angie Deutsch on the call.
Aye.
Thank you. I wrote
Aye.
aye as well. And with that, the motion carries. Thank you. Next up, we have the financial report from July 31st.
Thank you. This is from balance sheet for 7/31/2023. Cash in our operating account, we have $297,923.47. From the Southside TIF account, we have $8,053,009.74. In the Southside TIF debt reserve account, we have $336,308.50. In the Southside TIF capital account, we have $16,325.22. In the North End TIF account, we have $4,276,222.74. In the East Side TIF, we have $323,439.36. In the Northeast TIF account, we have $738,039.32. Loans receivable loans receivable county business loan fund, we have $133,333.00 for total assets of $14,174,601.35.
Move we approve the financials as presented.
Second the motion.
Get a first and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move forward with the vote. Mr. Barrett,
Aye.
Ms. Dennis,
Aye.
Ms. Nelson Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Warner.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Motion carries. Thank you. Next up, we've got the Trench Interceptor Cleanup Project bid award. Mr. Siernick.
Or lack thereof.
For lack thereof.
We, requests for bids did go out and were noticed. We then, they were due last Thursday, I believe. And so then we had the special meeting last Thursday and no bids had been received by the deadline, which, at least in talking with August Mack, that was some considerable surprise given the number of questions, number of comments, number of people that had called August Mack for that. So we have no action we can take tonight because we don't have a bid tonight. What it was agreed upon at that time was that we were going to extend the bid one more week, I believe, and then set it for, and there was a special meeting or a bid opening. I'm sorry, bid deadline was for then, I need to look at my calendar. The bid deadline for September 19th, thanks, at 1 p.m. Right. And then with and that would be when the bid opening would occur, half an hour later than that, which is when the special meeting is. And then August Mack would then take those. And at some point, whether we need a special meeting or whether it would occur at the meeting on October 9th, and that would be when hopefully we're awarding some type of bid. So we can't do anything tonight on it, and hopefully we'll have better luck the next time.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion regarding the Trench Interceptor project? All right. Next up, we've got the facade grant modification of eligible area. I'll turn that over to Skylar to discuss.
Yeah, thanks. So as you guys are aware, we have combined our north and south TIF. So we have a opportunity now to expand our facade grant area. As you're aware, we provide, maybe people aren't aware, we provide a facade grant in the north end. It's called the North End Facade Grant. A long time ago, it was the Arts District facade grant. Then it got expanded to the North End facade grant. So it's grown over the history of its life. I think it was started maybe in 2014, kind of about the same time that the historic districts came online, somewhere about that, Elston and Washington Street and the Franklin Street. Its original purpose was to kind of bolster up the new historic districts coming into play, and then trying to get encourage development in our historic downtown in the North End. So it's kind of grown from there. And as you're aware, we have since then grown our TIF district. Our TIF district is now one TIF district, where we have, well, for the north and south, it is now just one TIF. The question is for us to decide is, and the more and more Kyle and I have been working on this, Kyle's in the audience, I was having Kyle kind of go through our application and kind of think about what are the things that we need to modify if we're going to grow our boundary. And I think it offered up more questions than it did solutions, because I thought it would be just simple modification and then thinking about, and hammer it out like the language. But there is some things to think about. There are some things we need to adjust in the application because the original purpose is kind of grown now. We're not dealing with a historic district. We will be dealing with a historic district, and probably always will, with regard to the North End. But once you're outside of 11th Street to the south, you're no longer in a historic district. So how do we handle those? Who do we go with the straight zoning? Who has because in our application, we kick it back to the historic district to make the determination of the design guidelines. So with all that being said, I think I was hoping when I put this on here, I was hoping I'd have a recommendation for a space or a defined area, but I'm thinking that what's going to happen is there probably is going to be. I'm thinking now that we're going to have a Michigan Boulevard that's going to be similar to downtown, and then a downtown, and then probably like a south end, because once you get down south, is that you kind of lose there's no really historic buildings down there from the standpoint of do they carry the character or meet the eligibility. Kyle would probably argue that they would in a few years, but really you're dealing with box stores. You're dealing with larger developments, lots of parking spaces, lots of parking lots, and I just want a little bit more time to think through how do we handle that south end. And what are the things? I'm not saying we're going to create 3 different applications. I'm just saying, what are the things we need to involve in our applications to make sure that we're accounting for the different areas of town, if that makes sense. In the end, I guess if you guys don't want to do the whole entire TIF, that's okay. I guess I'm just kind of kicking it around. Maybe the best thing to do would be for me to work maybe with Kathy, if you'd be willing to maybe take a look at what we're creating, because I know that you and a group of ladies here in town, women here in town, have been interested in helping out with the facade, getting that out, the word out, and trying to help us generate some activity. I know that on the Michigan Boulevard that I've gotten, I don't know, 30 calls about it maybe. So they're eager to have this tool, and I don't want to dilly-dally on getting them this tool because they really want it. And I would venture to say that Michigan Boulevard could use the facade grant very much so. And it hasn't had a tool over there like this ever. I guess I just want a little bit more time to think about it and maybe work with like some commission members. Is there anyone else who would like to help me kind of figure that piece out? Kind of work on it. Tim? Okay. Tim?
I do. This is Angie would like to.
Okay, so what we'll do is I'll set up like a little email chat between the 3 of us. Or 4 of us. It'll be me, Kyle, and probably Sylvia too. Everyone needs I think valuable, I just want to make sure that we're thinking through, and I don't want to have to come back to the commission every time. I mean, we're always going to have anomalies, but I'd like to think through as much as I possibly can about the difference in downtown Michigan Boulevard and then the south end, and just make sure we're some of the things that come up was maybe in the south end of town, we look more at improvements to, is there landscaping improvements? Or are there more so improvements like, can we get involved in sidewalks? And if a building wants a sidewalk in front of it, could we fund a sidewalk? We don't do that in the north end, but maybe that's something we look at in the south end where we can start connecting our South TIF improvement project that we're about to hear about from Mr. Minnick. Can we start making those connections? And if property owners are willing to give up land to have that, can we start making those connections? So there's just some things I think we could think through and maybe make this really robust. So that's just kind of an update. I thought I would have this is going to be the space tonight, but I don't. And I apologize, but I think it's a healthy discussion that we should have before we make that decision and update our application at the same time. Any questions about that?
Just as a reminder, only 2 commissioners can serve on that, and 3 volunteers, but you can only have 2. So.
Okay, cool. Well, even in an email? Okay, even in an email, fair enough. Angie and Tim, y'all want to toss a quarter?
Angie's got it.
Okay. You know what? I don't have to. Let Tim do. No, let Tim do it, y'all. I got other things going on, y'all know.
Okay,
And we'll do so.
And we'll update everybody where we're at. And I just know Kathy's been working with Sylvia on a kind of a brochure, and it kind of goes hand in hand with this. If we're going to get the brochure updated, we don't want to put a brochure out and print them when we don't have this updated too. So it makes sense to do it all right now. Likewise, the upper story residential is kind of something else I've been thinking through as well. I know that's out there. So it's kind of the same thing. I won't go into great detail about that because it's basically the same questions that I have or that we have and need to work through. So anyways, that's kind of the discussion. I won't belabor it. So.
Great, thank you. Up next, we've got the South TIF Connectivity Improvement Project update and approvals. I'll invite Mr. Minnick up to make a few comments.
Brad, yep, thank you. Brad has been monitoring our project down south, and hopefully this will be a good report for us.
Good afternoon, Brad Minnick, Haas and Associates. Please report the contractor is largely complete except for the punch list on the CC1 project. So we're hoping to have that punch list meeting later this week and get that wrapped up. So the project went well and we expect to deliver it under budget. I have not yet received any pay voucher requests for the contractor. I hope to have those at next month's meeting.
Can you repeat the last thing you said about the under budget?
We hope to deliver the project under budget.
It's great news. Thank you.
What are some of the punch list items? Just curiosity. You don't have to go into great detail because a lot of that sidewalk's complete, and I've got photos of people using the sidewalk. That's really exciting.
Right. So just minor stuff. There's one section of curb that it's got a blunt end on it that I want shaved off to avoid traffic hazard there. The rest of it, we were active during the construction inspection process. So we want to catch it before it became a punch list item.
Crosswalks in, the button signalizations, and all that.
Yes.
Wow, that's exciting. So thank you, Brad.
Any further questions? Great. Thank you, Mr. Minnick. Sure. Appreciate that. Great news. Under budget and projects don't basically done. So can't really ask for better than that, right?
Yeah, it really is. I was talking I'm sorry if I might. I was just talking with NERPC and some of the people from NERPC, which is our metropolitan planning organization for this area. And they were like complimenting us on doing that. I had a meeting with them to determine some urban growth boundaries and stuff. Anyways, beside the point, they were really excited to see when they drove in. They were here at the Blue Chip for a conference, and they were like, "Wow, that's a cool project. What was that?" And I told them about it, and they're like, "Man, that's just a long time coming, and it's pretty amazing to see that retrofit." So they were very complimentary, just so you guys know.
Whose photos are on the sidewalk?
I don't know who was on the sidewalk, but someone from Haas and Associates sent them to me. It wasn't Brad, but they were like, "Hey, someone." They were texting them to me. I was like, "Oh wow, it's awesome," and it wasn't even completed yet. So,
all right, thank you. Up next, we've got the Your Beautiful Site update and approvals. Skylar.
So we don't have any approvals yet. We will have in the near future an updated economic development agreement with them. Right now, we are in the process of reassessing our TIF increments that'll be generated by the project. Baker Tilly's providing that for us. We are also in the process of our bond councils are talking at this point in time to discuss options and just see where we're at. And we're also talking about there is a groundbreaking. I would call it a groundbreaking, but basically it's basically a kind of a celebration of the project this week, this Friday at 10. It'll be at the You Are Beautiful site over here in between City Hall and the You Are Beautiful. And what else can I say about that? That's kind of where we're at. Alan, am I forgetting anything about it? It's we do have an existing development agreement with them, but at this point in time, with the changing economics and also the changing with the project has grown with respect to the development itself, like physically grown and fiscally grown. We just need to go back and update that agreement and get it back before you guys to update.
Thank you, Skylar. Any further discussion or questions regarding agenda number 9? No. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move forward with the report from legal counsel.
A couple of things just to update you on. First was an executive session meeting. Prior to this meeting, no items were discussed that were not permitted by the open door law, and there were no decisions made and no action taken. Second thing, to give you an update on the bus shelter program.
Excellent.
As you may recall, last month we had 2 bids. One was for over $400,000. The other, quotes. One was for over $400,000. The other was for about $155,000. Both of which exceed the quote amount for a public works program by law. That limit being $150,000. So Brad went to Marquis Electric and negotiated a contract that was under $150,000, so we didn't have to actually bid the project. Marquis Electric submitted a contract for $149,500. So they stayed under that $150,000 limit, but they will basically install all the bus shelters. And I think we're going to get that done before winter, right?
Yes. Yep. They're going to start pads this week. I had a meeting on something else, and I found out he was helping out with this project and gave me a small update. And yes, pads will start going in, and then you'll start seeing shelters constructed. Also, Miss Martin, now not Colin, she got married. I forgot. Miss Martin has been getting all the decals done with our some local printers. So not only will you see the shelter, you'll see them all decaled up per request of the transit department. She's been working really in close connection with Miss Robin Tillman. And then they're going to have a public meeting in the near future. I think it's in the next couple of weeks to update the transportation service system, which is required by the federal grant. But also at the same time, they're going to do the ground, kind of a impromptu, I wouldn't call it groundbreaking, but really showing off like how where the new bus stops are going to be, these new bus shelters, and kind of showcasing those along with that at the public meeting. So it's kind of a very, I think it's a project that's been a very long time coming. Right. So yeah.
Thanks to an awful lot of people for getting that done.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brad and Marcus Electric.
One quick follow-up with regards to the double track station block project. We expect actual groundbreaking to occur sometime within the next 6 weeks. Prior to that, as you may recall, there is an IDEM cleanup site on the northwest part of that building. They had originally requested if they could install more monitoring wells. We denied that request on the basis that they'll be in the way of construction, so those monitoring wells won't last very long. But if you do see somebody out there with monitoring devices for as related to environmental cleanup, they're just trying to take as many snapshots of the plume to show IDEM that their efforts for cleanup are working prior to actual construction occurring. The statute says on all environmental cleanup that you must work around the schedule of the property owner, which is us, at least for right now, although it will ultimately be at that part with the developer. But meanwhile, though, they will continue to do as much as they possibly can before construction actually occurs. Another follow-up on the double track project, we're 99% there. I truly believe that. I think we're really going to get this thing done. I think it's going to happen. We're negotiating right now. We finished another meeting again this morning for the final agreement regarding easements, covenants, and restrictions on the property as it relates to the city, Flaherty Collins and Nick D. Nothing is really insurmountable there. I think we're all pretty much on the same page on that. But hopefully that occurs sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We should be good on that. And finally, I don't have an update on Town Center Drive. I thought we'd be done by now. I reminded both Lowe's and Meyer that, we wanted to get this done before wintertime. If they don't have customers because there's no road there, once the winter starts and the road breaks apart, that's not on them and not on me. Hopefully that spurs them into action. But that's there, again, the no questions, no complaints, no objections, no anything. It's just within the various departments within those huge organizations, and it's got to pass through several dozen hands before it finally gets approved. Everything received back so far has been favorable. They just need to get final approvals from probably half a dozen other different departments within their structure. So, but it's coming, it's happening, and nobody's saying anything bad about it. So I think we're going to be in good shape on that. Other than that, that's my report.
Have we had any contact with Walmart as far as putting that street through?
I've not, because that's been further on down the priority list. It's getting there. It's getting up there as I move things away.
He's dealing with one large corporation at a time.
Thank you. Next up, we've got the report from the director, Skylar.
Yeah, so so start off with I really we're at the end for the station block, which is the garage and the mixed use project. There was a lot of activity and a lot of moving parts. There were a lot of things that Alan and I did. Just kind of we just did it. We did there was a lot of moving things we had to do. So there was a lot of focus on that. I appreciate Alan. You worked really hard on all that. So thank you. But I will say that I also appreciate the Board of Works. I'd like to thank them for approving the transportation plan. We're going to be bringing 650 pieces of concrete, very large pieces of concrete, through our city and to the station block to build a garage. I know that there's going to be a lot of growing pains with this, but again, we were always going to build a garage, and it was always going to be precast stone. So nothing's really changed. I would say maybe the change has been, instead of 400 blocks, there's 650 blocks. But this thing will be stacked like basically a Lego. It's kind of how I equate it or look at it in my mind. So I'd just like to thank the Board of Works. And I know that that's a lot. We asked a lot of them. We asked a lot of our departments. And we had a really great meeting with them prior to the approval with all the different departments. I think we had probably 30 people in that meeting, all the various departments. EMS was there, bus transit was there, the school bus transit was there, fire department, street department, everybody was there, and everybody had input. And actually some of the input there was very valuable in that the developer actually took some of that, and that's what was incorporated into the Board of Works approval. So I just really want to thank the departments of Michigan City, and I just can't thank them enough. And I think from our standpoint, we want to bring, this is probably one of the largest investments in Michigan City from a standpoint of a public-private partnership. So just very thankful. What else is going on? So the other thing I have to bring up tonight, I have a request from the Methodist Church downtown, and it's United Methodist Church. It's from Miss Trish Johnson, and I was talking with them. They called me last week at the end of the week, and they're having a benefit for a family that has lost a family member, and then they had an unfortunate fire in their house. So they're dealing with kind of a lot going on, and they're trying to have a benefit to support them. They have a car show coming up, and they've already made a request to shut down 7th Street in front of the church for the car show. But what they requested of me and of and they will subsequently go to the Board of Works, is that they would like to shut down 7th Street and our southern lot, the big lot that we have, the grassy lot. That being said, the reason for this is because they've actually had a lot of growth of people. The car show's grown, so they would like to have use of that lot. I apologize, it wasn't in your packet, but this kind of came in a little late. But I would like to try to. There's opportunity to make this happen, and then the Board of Works is next Monday, so we do have the opportunity to get on their calendar as well if we approve it tonight. They do already have insurance in hand. If we approve it tonight, they would just add us as a insured entity, but they've already provided. I guess my point is they already have the amount of insurance needed because they're already closing down the street. We would just be added. So I would ask for an approval of that to grant this to them. And then I have been told by them that if it should rain something like tonight, they will not use that lot, obviously, because it will be a mud hole probably. So it would have to be, and it's next weekend. It's the 23rd. So there's ample opportunity for it to dry out. And it's mainly just prepping for the just in case scenario.
Move we approve.
Support.
Any further discussion? We'll go ahead and put it to a vote. Mr. Barrett,
Aye.
Ms. Dennis,
Aye.
Ms. Nelson Deitch,
Aye.
Mr. Warner.
Aye.
I vote yes as well. Motion carries for approval. Thank you.
What else on our director's report? That's really it. It's been a lot of work doing the station block. So now we're moving on to Sola. We'll get that one hammered out and then go from there. That's it.
Thank you, Skylar. Up next, we've got public comments. None here in person. Is there any on Zoom? None on Zoom. With that, we'll go ahead and close the public comments. Commissioner comments. Anyone?
I'll go. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, what I was going to say is I'm happy to hear about the bus shelters. I was worried that those weren't going to get done before the winter time. Do we have any idea or how we're going to clean those out or keep the snow? Have they talked about snow removal and all that?
Yes, Miss Tillman has talked about that. I do believe they're going to add that to the schedule of the. I think they have a maintenance tech that works for them, if I'm not mistaken, and I think that's going to be on that person to do that. But Miss Barzoni, Miss Tillman Barzoni is taking care of that for us.
Okay. Awesome.
We're simply kind of orchestrating the installation and helping pay for it to kind of get it started, as we're calling it, the pilot program. And then she is taking care of maintenance. Should it get hit, things of that nature, and then eventually we will dedicate these to the city so that they become part of the city infrastructure, just like the wayfinding signs, any other thing that we do for the city. We'll have these dedicated, so it becomes. It's covered in our insurance should they get hit. I know I said that. So.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other further commissioner comments? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the next agenda item. We do have an announcement of the mayor's charity ball. Mayor's holding a red, white, and blue charity ball Friday, October 20th at Blue Chip Casino Ballroom. And basically it will support 3 different charities of choice: Social and Learning Institute, the Service League of Michigan City, and Meals on Wheels, LaPorte County. They'll provide a dinner buffet, concert and dancing, and let's see, tickets can be picked up by calling the city, and look forward to hopefully supporting that event. Next meeting date to be determined, considering that would be October 9th, which is Columbus Day, and City Hall will be closed. We do have a special meeting on September 19th.
Is that our opening?
That's the bid opening for the trench interceptor.
Would you guys just want to have, well, that'll be in the afternoon. Say, yeah, so I was gonna say,
Can we go ahead and set a date for our next meeting though? Can we do the next, I'm sorry.
we could
Okay.
poll, we could give 3 or 4 dates and poll if you prefer.
Or the next day? I mean, or do
the
you have
next day.
planning?
Let me look real quick. Give me 1 second. So we're off the 9th. The 10th, we have BZA in here at 6 o'clock in this. So the Board of Zoning Appeals is here, and they'll have a hearing in here.
Oh,
So we
okay,
could-
okay.
So we'd have to be done by 6. I guess we could do it, but we'd have to be done by 6.
Can we move our meeting up to 4? Is that a problem for anybody?
Could we do that, Alan? Instead of exec, just
I'm
have
just,
our.
yeah,
No, you're okay. Yeah, as long as we acknowledge it, we could do and give notice. Do you want to set a meeting for 4 o'clock that, and then I'll move exec to 3? Is that? I mean, some of you guys have. I'm staff, so you guys have. I know you have other commitments. Angie, you okay with that? Exec at 3, and then regular meeting at 4 on the 10th.
Okay, so next meeting will be set for October 10th at 4 p.m., an hour earlier, day after we normally would meet. Thank you for suggesting that. Finally, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
and that,
We'll go ahead and close the meeting and hope everyone has a great night. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.